College. She is Tara Westover, or Tara, depending on your preferences. I don't know. I've never asked her. She was born in September of 1986. We don't know the date, and we'll get into that later as well, in Clifton, Ohio. She wrote the book Educated, nothing else to date, although we are looking forward to the future, and she is a #1 New York Times bestseller and made it onto Time's list of the 100 most influential people of, I think it was 2019. So that's a pretty good accomplishment. Now it's time for the book itself. Oh yes, the most riveting part of the whole presentation. The title of the book is Educated, which is a marvelous comparison to Tara's new life versus her old one. Her new life, where she is educated and understands things about the world, versus her old life of ignorance, where she was sheltered and kept apart from society. It is the end goal of Tara throughout the book, and it is what other people throughout the story try to prevent her from attaining: an education. The front cover is symbolic, at least the version of the cover I got. There's a couple others, but those aren't important. The pencil represents education, and see the contours of the mountain here, those represent her beginnings. Her beginnings where she was poor, she was sheltered, she was uneducated. And if you look all together, it is her journey from her beginnings on that mountain of poor destitution into an education. That's what the book tells, that's the story, all wrapped up in one neat little picture. Now it's time for organization. There is in fact a table of contents, and it shows the table of contents. I don't know what else to tell you, folks. There are 3 parts. Each one is a large part of Tara's life. Part 1 is getting off the mountain. Part 2 is acclimating to normal life. And part 3 is finally moving away from the family that kept her under wraps her whole life. All right, there are chapters within each part. This first part here has 16. They're crossed out because I purchased the ebook, but I didn't want to pay enough money to get more than the first 3 chapters. So, but you can see the chapter names there. Each chapter name has the theme of the chapter. It has the basic overview of what's going to be in it. Like number 1, I don't know if you can read it from that far away, but number 1 is choose the good, and it's talking about how her father believes that pure religious righteousness is the only way to have a good life and to not burn in hell forever. The front material of the book. There are 2 quotes right in the front. The first one is by Virginia Woolf, and it's talking about how we don't really understand what's going on until after we've moved through it. The past is only recognized in the future, and that's important to the book because when Tara was on that mountain, when she was being sheltered by her parents and kept away, she didn't understand that was wrong. That was what was normal. That was life. And now that she's in the future, now that she's educated, she understands that that was wrong. That was immoral, and she shouldn't have been kept away like that. And then the second quote is by John Dewey, and it's a pretty basic quote. It's about why education is important and how we must educate people in order for them to learn. There's an author's note. The author's note describes that this is not a book about Mormonism, regardless of, thank you, Carolina, regardless of outside appearances. And then the prologue does a wonderful job of setting up what life on the mountain is like. The prologue, and I would read it to you if I could, but again, we don't have time. It is about her on the mountain, describing the beautiful scenery with no one around, and watching the school bus down on the bottom of the mountain pull away without them. And it just says, we don't go to school. That's what makes us different from normal families. The textual material, it is told in past tense because this is not the life Tara lives in anymore. This is a past life. It is dead. It is gone. There is dialogue. It is mostly paraphrased. Even emails that we could have just copied and pasted were paraphrased just so they fit the book a little bit better. Right in the end of the text, it basically sums up exactly what I just said. The stories in this book are oversimplified because things and people are often more complicated than the way we remember them. And that's a life lesson right there. Character study, Tara Westover. She is the main character. She leaves her isolated existence on that mountain right there. It's called Bucks Peak. It's in Ohio. And the story focuses on her battle against the past and her father as she tries to get to Cambridge University and educate herself. This guy's a whack job. Gene Westover, that is a pseudonym, is Tara's father. He shelters his children because he believes in all kinds of things. He believes in the Illuminati. He believes that teachers are all part of a secret organization that is determined to misinform children and overthrow the world. And he believes doctors are minions of Satan. He's a strange man, I'll give him that. What lessons did the characters learn throughout the book? Tara, whatever, learned that all people deserve the right to know and understand the world, and that keeping people sheltered and ignorant and kept away from all that, thank you, I'm working on it, that's tyranny. And then her family, for a little while anyway, learned that perhaps the outside world isn't so bad. Lessons that I learned stupidity is not equal to ignorance. I'm sure we've all come across people that we thought were pretty dumb for not knowing basic things, but once you've gone through this book, you realize that even the smartest of people sometimes don't have the information you do. Tara is not dumb, but she doesn't know what the Holocaust is at the start of the book. That doesn't make her dumb. And then you can forge your own path. Destiny is not established at birth. Cheese. There were a couple quotes, but for the sake of time, we're going to skip one of them. We're just going to go to the second one. You could call this selfhood many things: transformation, metamorphosis, falsity, betrayal. I call it an education. See, because of her education, Tara has become a new person. She doesn't live on that mountain anymore. She is no longer with her family. This is the last line of the entire book, and it ends the story in a marvelous way. New reading practices. I am a fast reader. I speed read everything. And this time, it's a denser book. I decided, I'll slow down. I'll think about it as I go instead of just, speeding through the book and then trying to remember everything that I just read. I would very much recommend this book. Read this book. I don't care how you get it. I don't care where you get it. If the only way for you to read this book is to push someone down the stairs, freaking do it. It's a good book. It gave me chills. It's like one of 5 books that gave me chills. So yeah, give it a read. Obligatory MLA page. Phenomenal.